Okay, so I got a request to do kind of an overview on how to breed budgies. So let's talk about how we do that. First of all, you have to start with 2 healthy, mature birds. Budgies will try to breed as young as 4 months old. The female seer will turn brown, but what that is she's just hitting puberty. And if you try and breed a bird that young, she will lose the entire batch, and it will stunt her growth because she's just a baby. It's the equivalent of breeding a 12-year-old human. She wasn't done growing. She has the hormones, but she doesn't have the bodily resources to lay all those eggs and sit on them and feed the babies and still be able to grow at the same time. So you're going to have a failure. It's either going to be that she can't support the babies, she'll abandon the nest, or she'll end up dying from being so depleted because she's trying to grow and grow babies at the same time. So you wait. Birds usually go through a molt at 9 months. It's kind of their maturity molt, and as soon as that's over, it's a good time to breed them. They've finally grown up. They're not done growing. They'll keep growing until they're 2, but they're big enough and their growth has slowed enough so that they're ready to breed. So it's about 10 months is the safe time. So you want 2 mature birds, 10 months of age or older. You can breed much older birds than that. I have birds that are 5 and 6 years old that are active early breeders. Mixing a 10-month-old newbie with an older bird works great, especially with an older female, because she will whip that little young man into shape and have him being a good daddy and be running the show in no time. As far as the birds being prepared to mate, they actually are seasonal. You can get them to breed at other times of the year, but the easiest time to get them to breed is fall, winter, because they come from Australia in an arid climate, semi-arid, like, grasslands. They're programmed to breed when it rains, because when it rains is when the food grows. So in North America, the best time to breed them is fall through winter and as late as March. So there's that. Try and breed them in the summer. You're going to get much lower fertility unless they're inside, in which case they're pretty much able to breed year-round. But you'll have trouble getting them. The fertility will be lower if you're breeding them in summertime, even if they're indoors, because they do have some sense of what's going on outside. So 2 adult birds, the right season, and then the right setup. They need a cage that's big enough for them to stretch their wings and flap around in. They can actually fly in these cages. These are 24 feet by 24 feet. 24 inches wide, 16 inches tall, and 16 inches deep. And they can actually, take flight in here. Obviously, they're not going very far, but it's enough to keep them in good condition. Also, it's really helpful if the 2 birds know each other, or at least are coming from the same environment, because they'll bond quicker. With budgies, I'm told, and I've done it this time, to try and increase fertility, that you have to trim the feathers around their vents before you put them into breed. It increases fertility, because especially with the males, if they have really dense feathers, they can't find their way out of them to the female. So trim the feathers around the vent. If you go on YouTube, you can Google it and see demonstrations of it. My suggestion is do not pluck the feathers. Plucking feathers out of a bird hurts them. There'll be people that tell you that it doesn't, but let's be serious. A feather is a much bigger, more developed appendage than a piece of hair. And how does it feel when somebody pulls a piece of hair out of you? Especially around your groin area. Plucking is not a good thing. You can do just as well by trimming, and you don't need to trim all the little white downy feathers. Just cut the colored feathers away, and if they have really dense down, thin it a little bit, but you can still leave them with a little white down on their hindies to keep their little rear ends warm. They need a nest box. This is standard, and if you Google it, parakeet nest box, you'll get one. Contrary to popular belief, there's a lot of people say, oh, English budgies are bigger than regular parakeets, so they like a bigger box. What I've found, now I have, these are standard size English budgie boxes. I have some like extra large ones over here. And what I've found is that in the larger boxes, like this one here, it takes the hens longer to settle. They would prefer that it be a little smaller, and that actually makes sense as far as keeping body heat in there for the babies and that kind of thing. So they will breed with a bigger box. They'll even go for a cockatiel box if that's all they've got, but they'll be happier and get to breeding faster if you give them a parakeet size nest box. And then all you have to do, once you have your 2 happy, healthy adult birds, and it's the right season, and you have a decent sized cage and the proper size nest box, is give them a good diet. They need fresh vegetables every day, along with their seed and millet. A lot of people also will feed them mashed up hard-boiled eggs, which they like. And it has a lot of fat in it. They especially like the yolk. And also there's yellow egg food for sale over the counter at most pet stores that sell bird supplies. And you can stir that into some baby food and mix a little rolled oats in it, and they'll eat that too. They also need that, which is minerals. That is a cuddle bone, and a nesting female will go through one of those in a day. It's sitting in a cup that has grit and ground up oyster shells in it, which you can also get at most stores that sell bird supplies. So she kind of has her own little mineral bar over there, and that's what she needs. They do sell drops, vitamin drops you can put in their water, and I do that, especially when they're raising the babies, because they're not getting any vitamin D in here because it's winter and they're inside a shed. So nutrition, big. Give them lots and lots of food. You see Sparky up there? They're eating a frozen vegetable mix, fresh frozen. They're not cooked before they freeze them, so I just pour a big bowl full out and set them on the counter overnight so they thaw, and then give them to everybody in the morning. And I alternate that, giving them a leaf of lettuce, not iceberg lettuce, but green leaf or red leaf or romaine lettuce. Some people do spinach, not a great idea. It has, I forget what it's called, but it has something in it, both spinach and kale, which are supposed to be the ultimate health foods, have a mineral in them that blocks the absorption of calcium. So you don't want to give that to them. Yeah, it's nice and leafy and green, but it has the wrong stuff in it. It's counterproductive to the mineral needs of the bird. So green leaf lettuce, red leaf lettuce, any kind of lettuce you can think of. Esquirrel or, spring mix from the grocery store. They love that. But not a lot of spinach and not a lot of kale. Okay? And then you sit back and relax and let the birds do it. They will take care of business themselves. The one thing that I have learned is that when those babies are coming up on 4 weeks old, once the oldest baby passes the 3rd week, you have to start watching the hen. She should be sleeping in the nest box with the babies at night. The day that she starts sleeping out on the perch with hubby is the day that you take her out of the nest. Because what will happen if you leave her in there is she's going to want to go right back into a breeding cycle because they come from an arid climate. When they get a chance to breed because the rains finally come, they want to breed as fast as they can. So Mother Nature has the hens going into reproducing again immediately, to the point where if her babies aren't out of the nest yet, she might even attack them. Much more frequently, what she'll do is simply stop feeding them, climb into the nest, and sit there until she starts laying eggs again, and the babies will slowly starve. So you have to pull her out the minute she stops sleeping in the nest, and the father will finish raising the babies. Other than that, and that's a piece of cake. And he'll be done at about the 5th week. By the time the youngest chick is 5 weeks old, he's done. And the babies are ready to go. But you have to count that by the youngest chick, not the oldest one, because they can be a week to 10 days apart in age. So that's the overview, how to breed budgies. If you get budgies that are refusing to breed, even though you've given them a beautiful setup, then A, it's the wrong season, or B, they have a sickness that's keeping them from breeding. see medicated quarantine if that's the case. Okay, that's it.